This will be for the con exercise, relative maxima and minima. All right, so this is from an article on Khan Academy for the relative maximum. Okay, the function changes from increasing to decreasing. In other words, it is a peak. Now, what does increasing mean? Well, that just means it has a positive slope. Okay, and decreasing just means it has a negative slope. All right, and a relative maximum is just going to be a point where it changes from positive slope to negative slope. So right there is going to be your relative maximum. All right, that's your relative max. And it's just basically the highest point compared to the graph that's surrounding it. It's the highest point relative to the rest of the graph, or the rest of the points that are surrounding it. All right, and the opposite is true for relative minimum. It's going to go from decreasing to increasing. What is decreasing? We said that is a negative slope, and increasing would be a positive slope. All right, so if the function goes from decreasing to increasing, in other words, it's going down and then up, right there, that is going to be a relative min. All right, and it is just the lowest point relative to the points surrounding it. All right, so it's not necessarily the lowest point on the graph, just the points that are relative to the points around it. All right, so right here, they want us to mark all of the relative minimum points on the graph. All right, so basically for minimum, maximum, we're looking at the y values, not really the actual values, but the y coordinates. And minimum is going to be, relative minimum is going to be the lowest point relative to the other points. And remember, we said in the notes, for relative minimum, I'm going to have to make more room here. For relative minimum, we said that it goes from decreasing to increasing. Okay, that point has to be surrounded by points that are higher than it. So the slope is going down, decreasing, and then increasing if you travel from left to right. All right, decreasing and increasing. So we want to find those y values. Right here, it's decreasing. This point here, it's still decreasing here. So this is not one of them. And right here, it's decreasing, but then it's still decreasing here. So this point is not one of them. And then if you keep going, this is decreasing and then increasing. So this point here is good. Traveling to the right, this is increasing. And this is still increasing. That's no good. This is increasing. This is still increasing. So this point is no good. This is the only one where the graph goes from negative to positive slope, decreasing to increasing. So this is the only point at -7. All right, so you just go to the graph and mark that one point at -7. That's it. That is the only point where that occurs. All right, relative maximum point on the graph. All right, so for min-max, we're still looking at the y values. And for the maximum, we said that it goes from increasing to decreasing. Okay, so it's going to have to be a positive slope followed by a negative slope if that point is going to be a relative max. All right, so travel from the left side to the right side. Here we're starting on the left. This is a positive slope, and this is a positive slope. So this point here does not count. All right, this is a positive slope. This is a positive slope. This point here does not count. This is a positive slope. This is a negative slope. So this point here is good. See, right here is positive, and right here is negative. So that point's good. This is negative, and that one's negative. This point here is no good. Negative to negative. This point here is no good. It's just the one at +7 where the slope changes from positive to negative. All right, so use the crosshairs and just put that point at 7. All right, mark all the relative minimum points on the graph. So minimum, we said that goes from negative slope to positive slope, and that would be a minimum. Negative slope to positive slope, traveling from the left to the right. Okay, right here, start on the left. This is a negative slope. This is a positive slope. Right there is a minimum. All right, ignore the maximum. We're only looking for minimums. This is up. This is going down. Negative slope. Positive slope. That's a minimum. This is a maximum. Ignore that. Negative slope. Positive slope. That's a minimum right there. So that's it. All right, use the crosshairs. I'll put the point there, put the point there, and put the point there. Those are all of your relative minimums. This isn't the minimum point of the whole graph. It's relative to the points that are around it. It's a minimum point. All right, last one, maximum points. All right, so we said for the max that it goes positive slope to negative slope. All right, positive slope to a negative slope, traveling from left to right. So let's see, start at the left. This is positive, positive, positive. This is negative. So I think the point where it changes is about right there. All right, here is a minimum. This right here is positive, positive. This point, it's still positive here. If you go positive to positive, that does not count. This is a positive slope. This is a negative slope. Where does it change? Right about there. This is positive to negative. So that point and that point. All right. So use your crosshairs. Click right there. Click right there. That's it. All right. Those are all the relative max points. Just those two.